What's up, everyone? So in this video, it's my first time drifting. So I ended up going up to a track called Thunder Hill Raceway. It's about an hour and a half north of Sacramento in California here. And they were having like an all-day skid pad event. So basically what that is there's a big empty parking lot and there's a bunch of cones that they set up into a little track. And one person goes out at a time and does some drifting, and people can do tandems if they want. I didn't do tandems, obviously, because it's my first time. I didn't want to run into anybody, so I got to do this event. I would say it went fairly well for my first time. I don't know, but it was fun kind of getting the tail to slide around a little bit and doing it. So here's the video. First time, kind of my setup was I had my stock KA, it has an exhaust, there's a limited slip differential, and then I have some 350Z wheels that I purchased as kind of like my spare burner drifting wheels. They're 17 inches and they're like, I think they have 245 wheels on them. And I got those at like a used tire shop. They were pretty new and I had the PSI at about 50. So with this setup, I felt like the tires were a little bit hard to get loose. So if you are looking to do it, I'd definitely look into getting some smaller wheels and smaller tires, and then also next time I'm probably just going to bump the PSI up even more. It's on the tire, it says the max is 50, but I'm going to try and bump it up more just for the event and then lower it to get back home. So here's the video. I'll definitely be going to more events and making more progress. So here you are.